My name's John Cordy, and I swear it was an accident. All I want for Christmas is for people to believe that. Okay, so this morning's test was nothing particularly scientific or complex or anything. What I did was I set myself a timer for 5 minutes, and the goal was to set up. I was listening to an old video that someone wanted a backing track for where I was playing through the Fender Princeton, so I thought, okay, let's start with that. So start with a blank preset. You've got 5 minutes, and what I wanted to do was to set up 3 snapshots or scenes on each, and I wanted just a Fender Princeton, a cab with a condenser mic instead of like an SM57 or anything, a Bucket Brigade Delay, a Spring Reverb, and a Timmy in front. And so snapshot 1 or scene 1 will be just the Princeton Reverb into the Spring Reverb. Snapshot 2 I'll put on the delay as well, and then snapshot 3 will be involving the Timmy. Also, I've left everything stock, so we're going to hear what that actually sounds like. So I'm going to imagine that things are going to sound potentially like I needed to tweak things. It took me 5 minutes on the FM3, but I was done in 2.5 on the HX Stomp. That doesn't really mean anything other than I know how to use the HX Stomp better. Also, when you're making an FM3 preset, you have to do things like cabling across and all that stuff. So very simple presets, and I'm kind of excited to plug them in and see what they actually sound like. I guess I just want to check these defaults on the delays, because if the mix is anything crazy high, it's potentially going to derail my takes. So it's 15% on the FM3. I'm going to imagine it's about 40 on here, 50%. Right, this is one tweak that I'm going to make then, because I don't want that to throw things off. What's the reason for doing this? Well, some people say online that they find they get better results out of one or the other. Or get those results quicker. So I just wanted to see if that was the case for me, whether either one I preferred or whatever. So I'm just going to now play through them for the first time, record and see what happens, and then I guess we'll come back for conclusions or tweaks that I might make. I'm going to imagine they're going to sound different, hopefully. We'll see what happens. that was that. So, a couple of notes. I recorded another take with the high cut off. So by default on the HX Stomp, you have a high cut at 8 kHz and a low cut at 80, I think it is. So I've lifted that all the way up because for tones like this I don't really think that's particularly necessary. What I'm noticing when I listen back to it is that the FM3 sort of has quite a lot more presence to it. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is up to you, or whichever you prefer. The HX Stomp seems to have a bit of a softer tone, so now obviously the exercise was not to try and get these sounding close to each other, but it was more to see what happens when you pull up kind of similar blocks and similar tones, see what you end up with. As I say, the FM3, I think a little bit more presence in the high end and stuff, and probably a little bit more kick in the low end, sort of maybe as if you'd got the mic closer or something like that. The distance default on the Princeton is 2 inches, so maybe I could fiddle with that if I wanted to get it closer to the FM3, or maybe I could, you know, employ a high cut or something like that on the FM3 if I wanted to get closer to the HX Stomp, for example. I don't know, do you have your own conclusions on which of those tones you prefer, which you find more usable? I think I prefer the way that Timmy responded to the HX Stomp, personally. However, when I had a real Princeton, the FM3 was exhibiting some of those things that I've found with the real Princeton, so putting drive pedals in front of it didn't necessarily yield the greatest results, if you get what I mean. There's kind of a lot of presence in it. Anyway, so that was my pointless experiment for the day. So if you want either of those presets, I'll chuck them in my folders. This one's called Prince and the other one's called Prince. 5-minute tones, see what they sound like, and yeah, hopefully that was interesting. If you want to like and subscribe, you could. There's plenty more of this sort of stuff on the channel. A lot of stuff with the FM3, a lot of stuff with the HX Stomp, and other modelers and Kempers and all sorts of stuff, as well as lessons and licks. So yeah, give it a like and subscribe, or leave a comment if you had any preferences. Did both sound okay? Cheers.